Today we're talking about the surprising effects of stress. Now, you're probably well aware of many of the mental and emotional symptoms of stress, along with some of the physical ones like raised blood pressure and increased heart rate.
But did you know stress has a range of effects on our physiology? In this episode, we guarantee there'll be some real aha moments, which will bring about greater clarity and understanding of what lifestyle changes you might need to make.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with myself, James.
And me, Claire. You're just trying to start a little bit differently.
I am, just mixing it up there.
It's all rock and roll if that's what we're trying to do to mix it up. How are you all? What have we been up to? We were just saying before we hit record on this, what have we been up to?
It's been a whirlwind, Claire, a whirlwind.
It really...
And actually, very, very suited to what we're going to talk about today, but in a very positive way. So
yes.
Today we're going to talk about the surprising effects of stress, stuff you may not know. So we'll come back to that. But why I said that links today is like we have been busy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say stress. It's excitement.
It's been
stress.
Good.
It's excitement. There's a fine line between excitement and feeling stressed, I think. So it's all really good. We're just doing lots of new things in the business. We've just hired someone to work with us, which is amazing. You know, we always talk about accountability and having a container that you feel inspired by, and you know you want to level up to be part of that container. So we're really excited to be working with this lovely lady that we worked with before. So we are walking our talk and getting some accountability and support, like we tell everyone else to. And what else have we been up to?
We have been booked for a fitness festival in the summer.
A retreat.
We've been booked for a retreat. So yes, we'll give a shout out for that actually, because it's not far away.
Sarah Davidson's Breakup Recovery Retreat.
The Breakup Recovery Retreat.
Absolutely.
We'll put a link in the show notes.
I will.
So we're
James
delivering...
won't, because James never does any of the editing. I will, yeah.
But we're delivering a workshop there and possibly some other stuff as well. So we're really looking forward to that. So
yeah, we've got a fitness festival. We've got that.
We have started getting more corporate work in, so we've been putting together workshops around the menopause and andropause, one on the andropause specifically, an andropause 30-day program, and one on stress as well, which is kind of what inspired us to do this.
Well, what's really amazing, we've been working with corporates for a while now, and one of the most popular ones is actually a workshop we do called The Science of Stress. But we're actually going to pull some of that out for you today and just talk about the surprising effects of stress that you probably don't know, because we've been running this for a long while, and these organisations come back to us and say, oh my goodness, the feedback was like, we really didn't understand how it was affecting me in this way, and how it all interplays with each other. We're not going to dive into all of that, but drum roll, that kind of leads us also into telling you about a workshop we are running on Thursday, the 28th of April.
Yeah.
So of this month. So next, if you're listening to this
live, it is the Thursday coming.
Yes, Thursday the 28th of April, 8 p.m. time, and we are running it around managing stress for health and happiness. So even though we're going to touch on a few surprising elements of stress today, what we're going to talk to you about in that workshop is a lot more detailed, a lot more life-changing, loads of aha moments, but most importantly, the strategies, the takeaway strategies, tools for life that you can start to use to create more health and happiness and reduce that stress in your life.
So that is a free workshop happening virtually online. So I'm very aware some of you might be in different time zones.
So a lot of you are.
If you're thinking, I can't make that because of, it's 3 a.m. for you, whatever, sign up anyway, and we'll send out the replay to you, because this is really important stuff for us all to know, as you'll find out when we start talking about some of the surprising effects of stress in a moment.
Something surprising you might not know is that I'm actually a stress management consultant. So I qualified in this years and years ago, like in a different life, it feels. And I used to love going rounds to organisations. It was, we're always talking about going outside your comfort zone. I was only like 20, must be about 20, no, late 20s.
How long ago, Claire? Was it like barons in their castles? I need to raise an army.
It feels like that long. Honestly, I feel like I've been married to you for about 30 years, my love. So
I'll take that as a compliment.
It is actually. No, it is. So I used to love going around to organisations and really making them aware of what some of the symptoms of stress were. But actually, what we're going to talk about here is a lot of the time, even when I used to go in and do that, because I was working for another organisation as a freelance stress management consultant, to be honest, a lot of the time, all we talked about really was the kind of emotional and mental symptoms, and then some emotional and mental strategies that could help. But the reason I think James and I do so well at this in a corporate setting, and what we're going to deliver to you next Thursday, is we really, really tie in the holistic approach to managing your stress, from nutrition to talking to you about hormones to talking about movement and how it all interplays. Because a lot of people don't know that, all of this stuff actually really negatively impacts their levels of stress.
Yeah, that's right. The traditional approach up to now has been very much like Claire said, if you're stressed, here's some mindfulness, here's some breathing techniques, which are great and they have their place. But we need to start looking at it as like what's going on with the whole system of the body, mind, and emotions, and
nutrition.
Eat the wrong thing, for example, and that's going to send your stress levels rocketing.
And most people don't know that.
They don't know that. So should we dive in? So we mentioned there, so the mental and emotional symptoms of stress, and some of the basic physical ones, most of you will be aware of, right? So things like in a stressful situation, your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure rises. You get very narrowed focus on one thing, but everything else kind of loses focus. So there's a bit of cognitive fog there. The mental side, you can feel like tired,
grotty,
worn down,
frustrated.
And what's interesting, actually,
sounds like you.
I
know you were smiling at me then.
I was,
knowing I was about to say that terrible joke.
And something that we always cover is if stress is this debilitating to us, why do we have a stress response? Like evolutionary wise, why have we evolved to have it? Well, very simple. It was a survival technique for us. So in a stressful situation, and this is the important thing to remember, it was designed for a physical threat. So, when that bandit was running at you, the tiger came jumping out of the woods, whatever, you get an instant stress response, fight or flight, and it does like a whole sequence of things to the body.
Again, we're going to go into all of those
dive into
in our workshop.
Which is amazing if you do need to be in that moment, super focused on the threat and either overcome it or get away from it. But not so helpful when today's threat is,
an email coming in from your boss,
emails, getting lost in social media, getting glum about the news, just getting stressed by life, because the same physiological and hormonal responses are happening in your body, but they're designed for physical action, and you're not taking physical action.
And one of the things I would say, the reason we find it so, and also, by the way, this is Stress Awareness Month, so that's another reason we wanted to do April Stress Awareness Month. I know we're coming to the end, but we really wanted to do it because of that. But also, most people, most of our clients, we're midlifers, right? So we're generation squeezed. We have so much stress put on us, and it does make us feel really overwhelmed. It makes us actually sometimes lose our passion for life. We might be not being present for our partners, our children, our family members, friends. And it really, really does build up. But here's the problem. It's in society, Western society, it's really been normalised. I'm stressed. How many times do you say that in a day or a week? I've got so much going on. I'm really stressed. Oh, my to-do list is getting longer and longer. It's almost like we wear stress as a badge of honour about how much value we have in the world. It's kind of like if I'm doing lots and lots of things, I'm of massive value, which just puts huge stress on ourselves. And actually, it can lead to depression. It can break up marriages. It can break up your career. It can cause financial disaster. The stress is we feel so passionate about it. I always have, but it really, really is a silent killer if we're not careful, and has such a negative impact. And, you know, we can just go, oh, it will get better. It will get better. Maybe if I just ignore it, it'll get better. But what we're going to talk about in our workshop particularly is, you know, what some of the long-term impacts are of having that level of stress. And you might just think it's that constant harm and it's normalised. In your body isn't normalising it. Your body isn't loving it, and it will kick back at some point.
It will. So there's a time factor here. And if we go back to what we said right at the outset about like how busy we are, and we're jokingly like going, oh, stress, but it's good stress. So stress can be good. So let's not label it all as bad. But stress will enable us to get to an optimum performance. So we've got this thing called the stress bell curve, right? So like an upside down U. And then either side of that, when we're under stressed or overstressed, the symptoms can be like the same, right? We can either just feel like we're frazzled, we can't concentrate, it's too much, it's overwhelming, or we can flick the other way, like we just feel totally demotivated, we can't get up and do anything. And those symptoms either side are quite similar. If we're going up the one side though, we're going to get to this place of optimum performance where we're really busy, we know the pressure's on, we're actually performing well, we're getting the most from our game. Think of like, you know, an Olympic sprinter getting into those blocks in the Olympic finals. They want to be in that optimum point of stress to like actually smash this race. Of course, we cannot maintain that. So that's the first point to make. You know, it's finding what our own individual optimum stress window is, because it'll be different for everyone.
And only stay in it for a
but
while.
Stay in it for a while. You know, an Olympic sprinter, they're not getting up and trying to break a world record every day. Of course not. Their bodies, their minds are going to give out. So it's about recognizing that we've got this area to perform in, but we have to be careful about the time we spend there and make sure we're managing that time and managing our recovery.
Well, because the adrenaline and the cortisol isn't supposed to be pumping through our body all that time. And actually, here's the thing, that's what's happening for most of us. It's that low hum of normalised stress that's just there all the time. We've normalised it. We think it's going to go away. But we actually need, especially at midlife, we really, really need to start finding ways to manage that for happy and healthy life. We're not going to go into all of that. That's on our workshop.
We're going to talk about the surprising effects.
Yeah.
Now,
so did
most
you know?
of these are down to that stress hormone cortisol. So again, a word on this. Cortisol gets a bad rep. We are meant to have elevated cortisol levels in the morning. It's a get up and go hormone. It gets us all things firing.
Clearly don't have that. No, I do now. I feel like
we do now.
I've created that for myself.
Yeah.
I was like a sloth every single
You were
morning. When we
sloth-like.
first got together, James and I would just have to bring me a vat of coffee before I
had
got
to
out of bed.
literally pump coffee into you. So it's meant to elevate in the morning and then taper off through the day. But in today's world, often what happens is we get up, it's elevated, and then it just carries on climbing through the day. So number one, you know, let's not give it too much of a bad name, but the problem starts when cortisol stays elevated consistently, because not only does that have a direct effect itself, but it has a cascade effect on other hormone pathways and on neurotransmitters as well. So, for instance, you know, consistent stress, not a lot of people know this, makes you much more likely to lay down abdominal fat.
Yes, so this is a key one for our clients, because sometimes, you know, they'll be getting great phenomenal results, and then something really stressful happens in their life. You know, it happens, life gets in the way, or there's something at work, or there's a life event, and stay like that in an elevated stress response for a while. And actually the results that they were getting with regards to losing some weight and some body fat that they wanted will actually start to plateau, because they've been in that stress response for a fair amount of time. And actually speaking to them about what they might be doing for their mind, you know, emotional well-being, spiritual practices, all that sort of thing will really always really helps them to start bringing that elevated level of cortisol down so they can start getting their results again. But, you know, most people don't think when they're not getting the results that they want, that you've either had a stressful event, something external happening, or you're potentially even putting your body under too much stress with, you know, working too hard, doing the wrong kind of workouts, even like eating the wrong things. It's putting your body under stress.
Yeah,
and
I mean, this is a big one we see all the time, isn't it? People with really stressful jobs or lifestyles,
they just
and they're like,
plateau.
oh, I'm just going to smash my workouts as well. And then all you're doing is like massively adding stress to the central nervous system.
And then they're holding onto abdominal fat and wondering why they're doubling down on their workouts, or the crazy diets that they're doing isn't working. It's your body's under stress, so it's just going to hold on. It's like in survival mode. It's just going to hold on to it. So a lot of people don't know that, and it's actually about re-educating people that more isn't always going to get them the results that they want, not at all.
Exactly. Now, another effect of elevated cortisol can be decreased muscle mass as well. We can go into what we call a catabolic state. That is, we will start breaking down muscles for energy. So obviously we want to avoid that. If we think about the first point there, we're more likely to lay down and hold on to fat, and we're breaking down muscles. Guess what? Muscles are metabolically active, so actually bring our metabolic rate down as well as losing our strength. It's just not good.
And the next one, obviously, is lowered energy levels. You're going to be, and again, this depends. You might be in a situation where you have that burst of energy, like James was saying with that bell curve. You might have this burst of energy, but then you sit there in that hum of energy and that state of stress for a long time. And what goes up must come down. You will crash at some point if you aren't managing your stress levels, and then your energy level, you're going to feel almost what we call burnout, lethargic, no vitality for life, no energy for life. And that's, again, when you really need to be looking at what's really going on, what the triggers are, what the symptoms are, and how to start managing those stress levels.
And of course, if our energy is low, but our body thinks we're getting ready for a physical threat, so taking physical action, what's it going to do? It actually increases levels of our hormone ghrelin so that we get more hungry and we start craving foods that are high energy foods, so starchy and sugary foods, to convert to energy fast. And probably the last thing we want to be eating in this situation, because again, that's just going to exacerbate the weight gain problem.
Yeah.
I'll say you go on. Claire.
Yeah, no, also, when we're feeling stressed, this is kind of going on to comfort eating as well. But some people, so you might be one of these people that when you're stressed, you don't eat. I know that when I'm stressed, I eat less. But a lot of people at the same time, this is why we really need to approach this subject. A lot of people do end up reaching for the high carbohydrate, high sugar food. And carbohydrate, one of the other reasons we do that, other than to comfort us and make us feel less stressed and give us more energy, if our energy is low, is also carbohydrates trigger the serotonin, the neurotransmitter serotonin, our feel-good hormone.
Which depletes when we're stressed, by the way.
Yeah, so you're basically, when you're stressed, that's depleting. You're reaching for carbohydrate-rich foods because that increases the amount of serotonin in the body. So again, and that in itself is going to be linking round to potentially laying down more abdominal fat because you're having more sugar and more high GI carbs, and that's going to be increasing the level of fat that you are laying down.
As if all that wasn't enough.
See what I mean?
From the body perspective, you're also experiencing increased insulin resistance, which basically means you're less efficient at transforming the food you take in to energy, which again means it's more likely to be laying as fat. So it's like a multiplier. Cortisol basically has this multiplier effect on a host of symptoms that we don't want. So, making us more prone to gaining fat, making us insulin resistant, so we're less good at converting food to energy, so we're more likely to gain fat.
Making us crave
breaking down muscle, making us crave the things we don't want, and disrupting our neurotransmitter levels as well. So
this is the loop. And here's the thing we want to say: the reason our clients get results, the reason actually stress, the next one I'm going to talk about, was one of the symptoms that I really, really suffered with, which was poor digestion, IBS. Whenever I was stressed, I would lose weight. Sometimes there were different points in my life where I did go for comfort food and alcohol and things like that. But IBS really, really affected my gut health through stress, poor eating, poor choices, and all that kind of stuff. But IBS is one of those things because when we're in a stress response, like James was saying right at the beginning, all the energy, it basically cortisol and our stress response shuts down the functions in our body that we don't need at that moment in time in order to deal with the threat. So one of those things is our digestive system. It's like, okay, well, you don't need a digestive system to run away from the saber-toothed tiger or the bandit, as James said, running towards you. So I'm actually going to shut that down. But again, over long periods of time, elevated levels of cortisol is going to start making you really experience digestive issues like IBS.
Yeah, of course, the other thing it will shut down because it thinks you don't need it right now to fight the tiger is your reproductive system. Yeah. So this is why stress can play a role in fertility issues or just general lack of libido. And there's a double thing here because what cortisol does, cortisol is a hormone that's produced from what we call the mother hormone, progesterone. What progesterone does is produce another hormone called DHEA, which then converts to estrogen and testosterone. Obviously, women have more estrogen, some testosterone. Men have more testosterone, a little bit less estrogen. But if your progesterone is being used up to make more cortisol, there's less available DHEA, which means less sex hormones available. So not only is your system shutting down, but there's less hormonal availability for it as well.
And it's making you older because DHEA is called the youth hormone. So if it's robbing across to cortisol, it's actually robbing away from DHEA, which is your youth hormone, and it's obviously aging you. Stress, we know that stress ages us, but that's the hormonal pathway example of why that's happening.
Now, finally, there's a very interesting thing that happens with your brain, which is to do with neuroplasticity. So this is actually slightly terrifying. Basically, if you allow yourself to maintain a stressed state, your brain will rewire itself to make future stress much more likely for you. You'll become basically like stress dependent almost. It will become your default state. Well, technically what's happening is it's the plasticity of your hippocampus is being reduced. At the same time, it's overactivating the neural circuits of your amygdala, your reptilian brain, which is all about reaction, fear, anxiety, and emotion. So you're actually like going back more into this reptile emotional response and losing the reasoning response.
How crazy is that?
Over time, that can bed in. So, I mean, if that's not a reason to start getting a handle on stress, I don't know what is.
Well, yeah, because this is what happens. This is what we talk about all the time. Neuroscience tells us the more we practice a thought and an emotion that comes with it, the more embedded it gets as a neural pathway. So if we're constantly feeling stress, thinking stressful thoughts, having stressful emotions, then of course that's going to embed its way in itself as a way of life. And the more things, again, energy attracts like energy. So if you're constantly feeling this sense of stress, you're going to see it all around you, that you're going to be attracting more things that are aligned with your energy of stress. Yeah. So that's kind of going a little bit more into
the neuroscience of stress.
Into the neuroscience of stress. But it's really, really fascinating, what really is happening. Your mind becomes programmed for stress and actually starts regressing you as a human being. We're going back to we've not evolved. You're actually taking yourself back in evolution.
A bit like you when you wake up in the morning. The good news is, listeners, there is stuff to you about, specifically on this neuroscience. You can there are certain things you can do to retrain your neural pathways,
which we teach people,
and which we'll cover in our workshop. Now, we didn't really want to deep dive too much into it. We wanted to tell you about the effects of stress. We have done another podcast where we kind of give some tips on managing it.
Ages ago.
Obviously, this workshop coming up is where we're going to really give you the tips on managing it as well.
I really would use... Go and say.
I was going to say, without giving it away, you basically want to be moving your body more, making sure you clean up your diet, lower your sugars, and do those mindset reps. And then all this, we're going to go into much more detail on our workshop.
Listen, you really don't want to miss this opportunity because it is something that has been such... we're so grateful for it. It's been such a success with really big corporate clients that we have. And we've delivered it to small teams. We've delivered it to 2,000, 3,000 people. And it's just gone down really, really well. And we can't think of a better way to kind of share it with you than a live workshop next Thursday, 28th at 8 p.m. UK time, and we'll have time for a short amount of time at the end for Q&As.
Yeah, remember, if you can't make it because of time differences or other commitments, do sign up so you will get the replay.
We've got one more thing.
Oh.
One more thing that James clearly has completely forgotten about.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Oh, I know. So, we've been really generous, right? We're really excited because... if you've been following us for a while now, at the beginning of lockdown, we started running virtual retreats. Our main business, 38 Degrees North, which is not our main business anymore, it's Midlife Mentors. We ran luxury retreats and that all fell off a cliff. So we started running virtual retreats. We ran about 7 virtual retreats, across a few days in a year. It was about 7 retreats in a year. We got featured in the Metro, the Evening Standard, for giving this free experience to everyone to bring people together as a community, to connect people, and we raise money for charity. Now, we get asked all the time, guys, when are you running another retreat? When are you running another virtual retreat? We really miss them. We miss the energy. Well, Your wish is our command. We have decided that on Saturday, the bank holiday Saturday, so it's the 30th, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, 30th of April. So we've got the stress thing on Thursday. We've got on the Saturday, we're going to be doing a half-day mini retreat because we know you've probably got lots of plans for bank holiday. But it's like a bank holiday reset. We're going to do some visualization, meditation and goal setting in the morning, like about 8 o'clock. And then we're going to do a live HIIT workout for all levels.
Can't wait.
Listen, you do not need to be a level of fitness. James
Live from Primrose Hill, London.
Yeah, London, exactly. James always shows the lower versions because he's not as fit as me. And then I'll do... And then we're going to finish with a workshop. We're just toying with the topic at the moment. But then it's going to be a live workshop as well. So 3 sessions on Saturday morning where you get to be in the energy of everyone else. You know, if you're feeling a bit flat, demotivated, this is the perfect opportunity for us all to come together. As we say, it really is about having a container of enthusiasm, energy, and inspiration. It pays wonders. We know that from what we've just done with our coach, just signed up with her again. So we really want you to be there. We would love to see you. We will put the link in the show notes to the stress workshop and that May Bank Holiday Reset virtual retreat. We'll put that in there as well. And also to Sarah's retreat that we're running a couple of sessions on.
Yes. Wow. We've got a lot on. Listen, we really sincerely hope to see some of you on that Thursday session.
Lots of you.
Or indeed at the weekend as well. That would be amazing. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Yeah, sending lots of love. Bye. Mwah.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah. What? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.